Welcome to the FM Talent Blueprint, the podcast where career goals get real and the job market gets decoded. Brought to you by FM Talent and hosted by CEO Dawn Hendricks. This show dives into career coaching, workforce insights, and everything professionals need to stand out in today's ever-changing world of work. From landing federal gigs to leveling up your resume, this is your space for real strategies, expert tips, and career confidence. So plug in, power up, and let's build your blueprint for success.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to the FM Talent Blueprint. I'm Dawn Hendricks, CEO of FM Talent, and I am so glad you're here. So whether you're tuning in from your office, your car, or even your kitchen, trying to make sense of yet another job description that reads like a scavenger hunt, you are in the right place. Today, we're diving into a topic that is not just trending, it's literally transforming how we think about talent, and this is skills-based hiring. Today, we're going to talk about what it is, what it isn't, and why Gen Z is pushing industries, yes, all industries, to rethink how we define qualified. Now, let me tell you right now, what we're discussing today isn't just a passing phase. This is a full-on shift. And I'm telling you, if we don't catch up, we're going to get left behind. So let's just start with the basics. What is skills-based hiring? This is hiring people based on what they can actually do, not just what's printed on a diploma, not just what's on a degree or how many years they've been sitting in a cubicle. For decades, you all know that the hiring process has leaned heavily on credentials. So if you have a bachelor's degree or a master's or 10 years in X, Y, and Z field. And so there's some research from McKinsey that says 60% of companies have adopted some form of skills-based hiring. And this is up from just about 40% a few years ago, which is a huge leap. And so the reason this is happening is because the old model of degrees and title and tenure, it really isn't cutting it anymore. The process is extremely slow, it's biased, and it's missing out on some really incredible talent. Now, Gen Z, they are changing the game. They are showing up with portfolios and certifications and TikTok marketing case studies and real world results. And they're asking, why do I need a 4-year degree to do work that I've already proven that I can do? And when I think about their argument, I'm actually thinking that they're not wrong. So let's talk about Gen Z, who they are for a second. This is the generation that came up during the pandemic. So they taught themselves how to Photoshop, they taught themselves Python or how to code on YouTube. They launched side hustles while they were in high school, and they built brands even before they've gotten their first W-2. So this generation, they're sharp, they're savvy, and they're not waiting for our permission to succeed. And so when you look at the job market, where job descriptions are still asking for 5 years of experience for an entry-level role, they are literally saying, no, thank you. Gen Z, they value impact, they value flexibility and relevance, and they want to use their skills where it matters most. So if the job market doesn't start meeting them halfway, we're going to lose out on an entire generation of talent that could completely reshape the world of work. And here's the kicker. Last week, I was in my Vistage meeting, and they talked about 40% of the U.S. population is now under age 30. So we've got to let that sink in. This younger generation isn't just a small group hanging out on the fringes. This is nearly half of the country. And so if we don't start adapting our hiring practices to meet the needs of these younger generations where they are, we're not just missing out. We're again setting ourselves up to be left behind. Gen Z, they're the digital natives, they're self-starters, they're impact-driven. and they are not waiting for our permission. According to Deloitte, 75% of Gen Z believe that AI will change how they work within the next year, and they're already investing in upskilling to stay ahead. But here's the disconnect, and there is a disconnect. While they're moving fast, many industries are still stuck in slow motion. So the job listings are still asking for the 5 years of experience for the entry level roles. Degree requirements are still baked into job descriptions. So what's happening is Gen Z is opting out. They're choosing startups, they're freelancing, they're involving themselves in creator economies, and they are seeking out mission driven organizations that value what they bring to the table, not just what's on their resume. So let's just zoom out for a little bit. Across industries from tech to healthcare to finance, skills-based hiring is gaining some traction. So according to Test Gorilla's 2025 report, they're saying that 53% of employers have dropped degree requirements altogether. And companies using skills-based platforms are seeing 25 to 40% faster hiring cycles. So that's not just efficient, this is smart business. But again, the catch is skills validation is and remains a challenge. There was a SHRM study that found that 62% of HR professionals are struggling to verify skills without traditional credentials. So we're in this weird space, this weird dichotomy where there's a desire to hire differently. There are the tools that are starting to emerge, but the systems to actually roll this out is still trying to play catch up. So what can we do today? If you're a job seeker, I encourage you to lead with your skills. Show your work, show your portfolios, your certifications, your metrics, your testimonials. Use language that speaks to outcomes, not just your responsibilities and duties. And I'm saying if you're a hiring manager, rethink your job descriptions. Ask yourself, can this person deliver? Not did they just check every little box? I even encourage you to pilot a skills assessment. Challenge your assumptions on some of those outdated requirements. And if you're HR or talent acquisition, you can start small. So you can run your first pilot of a skills assessment and then measure the results, because you might be surprised by the quality of candidates you've been overlooking. I'll give you an example, a little story. We'll call her Maya. Maya did not attend a top tier university. She didn't have a fancy title, but she had built a nonprofit's entire digital infrastructure. So their CRM, their website, their donor pipeline, she did it all on her own. But when she applied for a role of a major consulting firm, she got rejected because she didn't have a bachelor's degree. So what did Maya do? Maya kind of shifted the paradigm and she landed a job at a startup. They hired her based on a 30-minute skills assessment. Within 6 months, Maya has been seeing movement, positive forward movement in her career and getting team lead responsibilities. So that is the power of seeing people for what they can do, not just what they've done on paper. Now, let's face it, the world of work, the workforce in general is evolving. And when we lead with skills, we really open the door to innovation, to equity, and to real progress. I really don't believe that Gen Z is asking for any shortcuts. They're just asking to be seen. And honestly, it's not a Gen Z thing, it's a smart hiring thing. So if this episode has sparked something in you, please share it with a colleague, with a hiring manager, or a brilliant young person who's out there building something amazing right now. And as always, please subscribe to the FM Talent Blueprint, follow us on LinkedIn, and meet me right here next month for more real talk, strategy, and workforce wisdom. And until then, stay ready, stay relevant, and keep building your blueprint. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the FM Talent Blueprint. I'm Dawn Hendricks, and today we're talking federal hiring. We want to discuss what's happening right now, what's coming down the pike, and also where should you be looking if you're wanting to land a federal role in 2025. Now, you guys already know the federal job market does not move the same way as the private sector does. Things are moving much slower and the rules are very different. But this is why strategy matters. And so this is what we're going to be discussing today. So if you've been hitting that refresh button on USA Jobs like it's your favorite app and wondering where the opportunities really are, then this episode is going to be for you. So, what is the 2025 federal forecast looking like? I think from where I sit, the federal space, there's just a lot of shifting happening. So some agencies have a complete hiring freeze. Others are really tightening their hiring due to budget constraints. But there are some agencies that are staffing up for some major initiatives. You'll be wanting to look for areas like cybersecurity and IT, healthcare, public health infrastructure, veteran services. So these are what I call mission critical hiring. And sometimes these mission critical areas don't always show up in obvious ways. So you may have to dig a little deeper. And before I go into the digging a little deeper, let's not forget that people are retiring or hitting their service limits. So this also is creating somewhat of a vacuum of opportunity, specifically when you know how to navigate the process. So let's go ahead and dig right in and talk about what you can do right now to get ahead. Let's talk the blueprint. So my first recommendation is going to be to follow the funding. And so this means that for those agencies that are getting budget boosts, this is where you're going to want to look. So for instance, the Veterans Affairs, we're seeing that the VA continues to make investments in healthcare, benefits delivery, and even some modernization. And so this is going to translate into medical roles, administrative, and IT positions. Health and Human Services is another one. So they are expanding their public health infrastructure and digital modernization. So some of the roles you might expect to see will be health policy, data science, and even some program management. The Department of Transportation, they are continuing to invest in infrastructure. So they're going to be hiring for a lot of the engineering and project management roles. Finally, Homeland Security. They're investing in cybersecurity, border technology, and emergency preparedness. So this is going to present investment and logistics. So I just wanted to give you a few practical examples that you could use for following the funding and helping you connect the dots for how that informs the opportunities those agencies are prioritizing. My second recommendation to you is going to be to narrow your focus. I know it's really tempting to do a mass application process or an apply all, but in the name of efficiency, I really don't believe you should try to apply for everything. I do not think it's an effective strategy for finding your ideal role. My recommendation is that you pick 2 or 3 agencies or departments that align with your background and experience, and then study them like you're prepping for a college exam. When you do this, it allows you to, one, understand that organization a lot better or that agency a lot better, and it allows you to tailor your application with specificity for the things that that agency department is seeking. Next, I'm going to talk about the resume, and this really goes into what I just talked about, narrowing your focus. But, you've got to get your resume federal ready. And so this isn't going to be the one pager that we talked about in previous episodes. For this resume, you're going to need to get really detailed.